Okay, just finished uh, uploading the last video, which was the video on the difference between a plastic nut and a bone nut. And I know once you see that, you're going to have to do the nut change. So I'm doing that one right now. The easiest and the best way I could think of doing it was a PowerPoint presentation, because there was so much detail that you had to show, and I'm pretty lazy with the camera, in case you haven't noticed. But anyways, let's do the PowerPoint presentation and check that out, and I'll be back.
Okay, like I just said, I think the easiest way to do this is PowerPoint, so let's get with it. What you're going to need to measure your nut that you have on your guitar right now, that way you can take those measurements and buy a new nut, whether it be pre-made, pre-slotted, not pre-slotted, pre-shaped, not pre-shaped, or just a blank like I do. No matter what, you need the measurements off of what you currently have. Got to do it. The only way to do it is right here with a set of calipers. These are just an old pair of Pittsburgh calipers I have laying around in the shop. I got Mitoyos at work, but I hate bringing them back and forth. I'd rather just keep them locked up in the toolbox. But you can get a set like this for $10, maybe $15. Then, of course, you can get a set with a dial, or this is the easiest way to do it here, just a cheap set of digital calipers. And you're going to need that. You're going to need a piece of paper and a pen so you can write down all your dimensions. This is going to be your width, your length, your height, and your E to E string spacing. And we're getting ready to get into all this. Very first thing you want to do on your calipers, hit that 0 button. I like to use inches because later on when we're going to do the converting, you get a little bit of a finer measurement on your millimeters if you take the measurement in inches and then convert it to millimeters. I don't know why that is. I just know that this is the easiest way for me to do it. It works out really well. Works out good every time for me. First measurement you want to take is what they're going to call length. This is the hardest thing that there was for me to get used to, because for me, this is actually the width of the neck. The length of the neck is, from the headstock to the body. But when you're just talking about just a nut, that's going to be length. I measure all the way down to the side of the neck to make sure that I have plenty of nut. You can always take a little off. You can never add to it. And right here we got 1.684. So I go to my little drawing and I put that number in for my width or my length. There I go again. That's your length. Put that number right here. Length. These will all get filled in later. Right now you're just doing length and your caliper reading 1.684 inches. The next thing you're going to want to do is your width. And that is going to be from the front of the nut to the back of the nut. 0.235. Go to my sheet. As you can see right here, 0.235, that's my width. I recorded it right here. The height is sometimes a little difficult to get on the guitar. If you open up your calipers, you will find this on the other end. It's the part that actually slides inside of the caliper It has to have somewhere to go when you open it, so this is where it goes. I place it at the lowest point I can find and bring it down until I hit the top of that nut. You can kind of see right here that nut is actually just a little bit longer, so we're going to want to remember that when we go to purchase our new nut. And I'll show you that here in just a minute. 0.301, go to my sheet, put 0.301. I used to try to just remember these numbers and go online and start looking and shopping, and that never works. You got to, actually what I need to do is just download one of these pictures from a website and keep it blank and keep it handy where I can just print it out. But here we go, height 0.301. And this is the most important measurement you're ever going to take in your entire life, right here. From the low E slot to the high E slot. This has to be as exact as you can get it. And here we have 36.02. And actually it's on millimeters right here because I was double checking against a website to see if I could just get a pre-slotted nut. But originally I had 1.409. 1.409 is what I recorded. After I did my conversion, well, I'll get to that. There we go. So go online, find a conversion, just in your search bar, just type inches to millimeters converter, and there'll be 50 of them pop up. Find one, click on it, you enter 1.684, and it will convert, and it would tell you 42.77 millimeters. Then round up 43 millimeters. The width, I got lucky. I was dead on the width at 6 millimeters. There you go. Height 7.64. So I want an 8 millimeter nut, at least 8 millimeters in a blank. And I'll show you the difference on that here in just a minute. But here's the string spacing. After I converted it, I came up with 35.78, and that is what I was checking on that previous slide, 36. So I went back and I put my calipers on 36 millimeters, and sure enough, that was my true E to E spacing. Always double check yourself. Here's an example from the Tusk website, and there's your E to E spacing, your height, your width, and your length. This would be a satisfactory replacement. And in fact, I bought one of these, but I didn't use it. It was going to be more to get it the slots where I wanted them to be, and I had already started making my other nuts, so I didn't bother using this one. Here is what I usually buy, which is just the slabs, the blanks, unshaped, and you know, different lengths, widths, heights. Pretty much the sky is the limit on these things. Here's two blanks that I had here at the shop. Here is the nut that I took off of the guitar. Here's a little bit better view. You can look at, of course, the height on both of them is fine, but the width on this one is just a little bit too small. The width on this one is a little bit larger than the stock nut. Here's a little bit better pictures. You can definitely see that this is not going to work because the stock nut that came off the guitar is definitely a little bit thicker than that nut, than the bone slab blank. This blank is a little bit larger, a little bit thicker, than the width on our original nut. So it's going to work great. I can take that and I can shave that down and make it a perfect fit. The way I did that was with a file. If I have a lot of material that I need to take off, I will use a belt sanding. I've got a table sander is what I've got, so I will use that to rough it out. Then I go back to using the file. I always make sure everything is absolutely perfect as far as perpendicular and parallel where it's going to go from the headstock to the fingerboard. I want to keep everything straight and true. This is where I roughed in my nut. Notice that it's a little bit longer than it needs to be, and that is so I can get everything cut into it. And the last thing I'll do is adjust that. I'll actually tape off the guitar neck, and I'll very carefully file down to that tape and get that joint absolutely perfect. This tape is from where I put this on so that I can get the old nut off. Put the tape on, that way I can take that X-Acto knife and just score around both sides of that original nut, and then just give it a pop with a piece of brass. No big deal. And here is my roughed out bone blank, checking for the width and the length. When it comes to doing the height, I don't even bother looking at the old one. What I do is I get a set of feeler gauges and I will put them on the fingerboard and I will play around and find the exact right depth of that fret wire. I want to know exactly the height of the fret wire. Then I will add about 10,000ths of an inch to it so that it's just a hair over top of that. You can feel it, but you can't see the difference. You can feel that the feeler gauges are just a hair taller than the fret wire. I then take that measurement, hold it down on my fingerboard, nice and tight, and I'll take a mechanical pencil and run it right down it and mark that nut blank. This is what I end up with. Now I know exactly how far my slots need to come down. To mark my slots where they need to be, I used to try to sit there with the calipers and measure everything out, and then I found that just the easiest way is to just put the original nut back to back with the new nut and mark it this way. So now I know where each string slot is going to be, and I know how far down I need to make them. I use an X-Acto saw, a hobby saw. It's a very fine tooth, and I take each one of these string slots down to almost down to that line. In fact, I touch the top of the line. Then I use a set of, these are actually welding tip cleaners. I have a set of nut slot files, but it seems like they're always, one's a little bit too big or one's a little bit too small. You have so many more choices with this, and they seem to work better for me. After I make my slot, I get it started, then I'll take a string and I will actually fit that string in there and make sure that I'm using the correct diameter tip file. I want my string to go down in. I'm going to take it all the way down to that line. I don't want a tight fit as far as the width of the string or the width of the slot. I want the slot to be a little bit larger than the string. This is my finished results. You can see my mark. You can see my slots are all the correct size as far as the width for the string that's going to be in them. You see all of them go down to the line. You'll notice mine kind of, ones I make, they round over a little bit more. And if you look inside that slot, you'd see that my slot is actually angled so that the footprint of where the string is resting on the nut is only about 2 millimeters wide. I don't want a lot of contact between the string and the nut. I want enough where I don't have to worry about it cutting down into the nut and failing prematurely. But at the same time, if I were to just leave this surface flat and just put some slots in it across the top, that would be a lot more surface contact between the nut and the string, and that's going to rob your sound. And the whole reason we're changing this is because we're getting rid of all this, anything that could be robbing frequency and sound. Here's the finished product. Now what I'll do is I will put a feeler gauge under the string. I'll loosen up the string, take it off, or just slide it to the side, take my little slot file, my tip cleaner, and I'll work on that slot, and then I'll put the string back, and I'll keep going through that process until I get the action of that string exactly where I want it. And I'll do that for all 6 of these strings. Generally, I like a very low action where you just think about a chord or a note and it's there. But on this guitar, I think I'm going to leave it almost stock, maybe a little bit less than stock, but I'm going with a bigger string size. And I want to be able to kind of slap those strings, not quite Stevie Ray Vaughan slap them, but I definitely want them to ring out. I want that option.
I apologize for the audio on that. I don't have a microphone for my laptop, and I just used the laptop mic to do the PowerPoint presentation. I hope it helps you though, and don't be scared to make your own nut. Well-known instruments, you know, your Stratocaster, Telecaster, your Les Paul, your 335s, all of those you can certainly get a bone nut, pre-slotted, pre-shaped, and just do it install. But if you're going to do that, go ahead and get a bone blank or an ivory blank and give it a try. I mean, you can get a couple of blanks for $25, $30, and you can make your nut the way you want it to be. I want to apologize again for the audio, and it was a pretty abrupt ending on it, but anyways, it is what it is. Please comment, like, subscribe, hit the little bell in the bottom, and I'm up to like hour 10 of actually trying to catch up on this guitar stuff and catch up on my videos. The next video is going to be still part of the Unleashing Your Gretsch. And so what I'm going to do now is partake in the beverage of my choice. Get these old strings off of here. I'm going to order an ivory blank. So if you have questions about anything on this nut video and how to make your own nut, how to measure your nut, please go ahead and post those comments, or you know, call or email or whatever you want. My information is at the beginning and the end of every video. I'm going to get these strings off. I'm going to get this, I'll probably leave the nut on for now. I'm going to pull the pick guard. I'm going to pull the pickup. And I think next step in unleashing the Gretsch is going to be the wiring. From what I can see through the F-holes, this is, I don't know, not much better than a, I hate that thing, not much better than a Squire wiring. So we want to unleash these pickups. We want this thing to really sound. We want it to be a Gretsch. We don't want it to be a Fender remake, which is exactly what this is. This is not a Gretsch. I've got a Gretsch in the other room, And I've worked on several other Gretches, and from the '60s and early '70s. Watch the next video. Unleash your Gretsch. Let's do it. Until then, thank you for watching and have a great day.